Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be taking a look at the M90 shotgun from the Halo ODST crossover Warbond. So let's get straight into it. If you're looking to get this shotgun for yourself, it is on the last page. So taking a look at its damage, it's 605, capacity of 6, recoil is at 83, fire rate of 80, its light armor pen, and round reload. Taking a closer look at the actual damage per pellet, we can see it has 11 pellets, and its standard damage is at 55, and its durable is 15. Something I need to also note is that the shotgun spread is surprisingly tight for what kind of gun it is, which makes sense when you compare it to something like the Halt shotgun, which couldn't hit a fly at point blank. Hey look guys, Arrowhead gave me a poncho. Aww. Never mind. Messing with the shotgun in-game, the only thing it really has on it is a flashlight, but that's not really surprising as this is a standard issue like UNSC weapon. I was testing out the shotgun spread at close range, and it does have a pretty tight pellet range. But you should know that in Helldivers, when you fire something like a shotgun, the pattern spread isn't always going to be the same. As you can see right here, it gets really dark towards that big circle in the middle, as that's a lot of pellets landing in one spot, condensing the damage where it lands. And if this is me firing it at 14 meters, this is what it's like point blanking. While it's not unique to any other shotguns, any other shotgun can be point blank like this, you have to consider that this is 605 damage in one shot. And since it's round reload, it means you can do the whole firing and reloading at the same time, getting a really cursed reload animation. So yeah, it is a pretty basic shotgun. It's a shotgun with 605 damage though. So let's take it on over to the bot front. So while it's overkill against something like a bot trooper, I find that it's pretty effective at taking down things like berserkers, especially when they have two giant glowing weak points, and their only attack being melee means they're going to get blasted. The math says it should be capable of two-shotting the Scout Strider in the leg, but you'll have to probably be at point blank because it's a little difficult to land all your pellets on such a spindly target. Uh-oh. Not really the best for taking down Scout Striders, especially when they face their more narrow side of their legs towards you. When it goes up against something like a Devastator, you can totally fold these guys. And if you get super lucky and you land a good portion of your pellets, you can take them out in one shot. And if you get really close, you can give them a nice headshot. And the M90 is pretty good at juggling things like heavy devs, so if they're about to rip on you, you can just keep blasting them until you win. But this is solely dependent on the fact that you are in close quarters with Devastators, which is a no shit thing. This is a shotgun and you're firing at a guy that's farther away in a video game. It could have been worse though. They could have gave us the Halo 3 shotgun. Sure, you can snipe them from a distance with it, but that requires you to be in a situation where you can sit this long lining up a shot. If you're going up against something like a Hulk, it only takes 3 shots to make his back explode, but if you want to do him in, you should put in one more blast. Overall, on the bot front, I'll have to say the M90 is a alright shotgun, but if you're playing with shotguns on the bot front anyways, it requires you to play a specific way. You're actively closing in the distance against enemies that outgun you and outnumber you, but it does make it a great defensive option for when enemies get too comfortable and try to sneak up on you. It's like I'm playing Call of Duty again, waiting with a shotgun around the corner. Moving over to the bug front, where it performs infinitely better as there's less armored enemies. What do you think's gonna happen to this bug? A, it's gonna die. B, I miss. Or C, where I neutralize a target through hyper-accelerated vaporization, leaving only atomized biological residue behind. It's C. I could watch that like 50 more times. It's a pretty busted shotgun on the bug front, as all it takes is 2 shots to take off the head of a brood commander. And that power transfers over against things like against the Predator Stalkers. Never get mauled again knowing you have the M90 on hand, because even though you missed the first shot, it sets you up for the next. A lot of this damage is overkill against the lightly armored enemies like the Hunters. Warriors are an afterthought, little scavenger bugs are an afterthought. Using the shotgun against the Shrieker demoted him back to a scavenger. Only enemies that will ruin your fun while using the M90 are going to be enemies like the Bile Spewers and the Hive Guards, as they have armored segments across their body with medium pen. I find that his big ass is the easiest thing to aim for, but even then, if you're a little close, it will still splash you with a lot of damage. The M90 only struggles against Hive Guards and Bile Spewers, but that's as easy as throwing a hand grenade to solve that problem. I tried to use it against something like the Behemoth Charger's butt cheeks, but it turns out it takes like 7 shots to actually make that nut bust, which is a good option if you just want to get the guy to bleed out and die while you run away. Overall, the M90 does a perfect job on the bug front, as it only has like 2 enemies that it really struggles against, which can both be annihilated with a simple grenade throw or oops, all stratagems of red. But I will have to acknowledge, it does have a pretty bad ammo economy. If you're constantly getting into swarm situations and you're using this shotgun, you're gonna quickly find out how fast ammo runs out. So if you don't manage your shots, don't have a supply pack, or oops, your teammate called in to resupply 700 meters in the north direction, which makes the gun's ammo economy the only real negative about this gun. Moving over to the Illuminate front, yeah, it's still overkill on things like the Voteless. Oh, but it's so satisfying to land these shots on them. Feels like I'm playing like a zombie game. Get pretty close to them and you aim, you could do some pretty big damage against these guys. Killing them in He was a fairy. You don't mind using it like it's a Halo 3 shotgun. Getting close quarters with these dudes and just blasting them in 2 shots is really satisfying. You can control most of your close quarters combat engagements with this shotgun, and it's doing it again. It's not a big surprise though that it would struggle against something like an elevated overseer, which commonly weaves between your shotgun's effective range and just completely leaving the area. But you should know that already, you're using a shotgun, so if you take that stim out of your ass, maybe you should close the distance and kill him. And you should go for the backpack, because it turns them into a pretty firework. The reason I'd recommend getting close to use the shotgun on an overseer is because their armor is spread out through their entire body. You're gonna want to focus as much as your pellets as you can to break that armor piece to really finish them off. As soon as you crack them out of that shell, they're really vulnerable. So, going up against the flesh mob, it is not really worth taking them down with this shotgun, as I did the math. It takes 11 shots to kill them. However, this requires you to be in the shotgun's effective damage range and landing all your pellets. So it's not a flesh mob slayer, it requires a lot of ammo and commitment to take them down, which isn't surprising when you consider that a majority of the primaries and secondaries struggle to kill a flesh mob anyways. The M90 can really handle itself on the Illuminate front. Sure, it can't deal with things like elevated overseers, not too many shotguns can, but a video game shotgun will be a video game shotgun. Ineffective at long range. And it's no flesh mob slayer, so you'll probably want to save your ammo for the other targets. The only real problem is the ammo economy. Just like on the bug front, if you're in a lot of firefights, you're going to be firing the shotgun a lot, which should be fine if you can manage your ammo or if you have a supply pack. So far, looking at the M90, it has some pretty beefy damage, its spread is pretty devious, but it has no customization, which is fair, it's a crossover weapon.
Oh, but Gundam Boy, it's so bland!
Is probably what a lot of people are saying. Which, sure, yes, it is a pretty basic shotgun, which isn't surprising because when you think about where this gun is in the UNSC, it's a standard issued shotgun. If Halo had a crossover with Helldivers 2 and they brought over the Liberator and the Punisher, it'd be the same thing. Bland, because that is our standard issued weapon. And if you say the Punisher isn't a standard issue weapon, bite me, it's the first weapon on the Warbond. You gotta get really close with this shotgun to do some serious damage, especially against the more armored enemies in the game.
Now I imagine it can be pretty hard to be an ineffective leader with no respect. Who doesn't understand that his primary weapon has an effective range much shorter than most weapons.